Alright, what's going on everybody? It's your bro, hope you're doing well, and in this video I'm going to help you get started with HTML, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. If you wouldn't mind, please like, comment, and subscribe. One like equals one prayer for the YouTube algorithm. I'm going to tell you why you should learn HTML. HTML is an acronym for Hypertext Markup Language. It's the most basic building block of the web. It allows you to add, change, and remove website content. And that's a good thing to know. It's mandatory to know for web developers if you would like to enter that career field. It's useful for software developers, marketing and sales professionals if you need to edit a listing for your company, business owners, you could make your own website, and freelancers. People would pay good money for a good website. Heck, you might as well add HTML to your resume. Can't hurt. And learning HTML is super easy. This full course is only going to be about an hour. Anybody can learn HTML, even you. Yes, whoever's watching this video, learn HTML. It's super easy. What do you have to lose? Building a website is a lot like building a house. First, we need a solid foundation and we need to build a skeletal structure. That's where HTML comes in. It's the most basic building block of the web. Then after that, we can add CSS. CSS is cascading style sheets. With CSS, we can style, color, and change the appearance of a web page. And lastly, there's JavaScript. JavaScript adds functionality to a web page. So in a house, this could be like plumbing, heating and air conditioning, and electricity. So it adds functionality. And when you combine these three levels, you have a good functioning web page. But you need to start somewhere, so that's why you're going to learn HTML first. What will you need? You'll need a web browser. Use whatever web browser that you like, just please do not use Internet Explorer. And we'll also need a text editor to write HTML code. You can use VS Code, Sublime Text. Heck, you can even use Notepad, but I prefer VS Code, so I'll show you where to download that. Just head to code.visualstudio.com and download the correct version for your operating system. I'm running Windows, so I'm going to install the Windows version. Then I will open when done, accept the agreement. Yes, I actually did read it that fast. I would recommend creating a desktop icon and make sure Add to Path is selected. Next, and install. And then you might as well launch this bad boy, so finish. We are now within VS Code. The first thing I recommend is to download the live server extension so that after saving an HTML document, we can immediately refresh a web page. So underneath the search box for extensions, we are looking for live server and install this version. Then after downloading the live server extension, we will create a new folder under the Explorer tab, open folder. Wherever you want, create a new folder. I'll create this on my desktop just for convenience. I'm going to create a new folder. I'll name this website or whatever you want, doesn't matter. Then select folder. And within our website folder, we're going to create a new file. Name this index.html. Whatever file you would like to be the homepage of your website, you'll want to name that as index.html. When a connection is made to a website without a specific file in the URL, most servers by default will return the index.html file as a landing page. So this index.html file will be the homepage, the landing page of our website. At the top of our document, we're going to type this within angle brackets, exclamation point, doc type HTML. HTML documents should start with this declaration to be compliant with basic HTML standards. It lets a visitor's web browser know that this is an HTML5 document, and following this text, we'll create a pair of HTML tags. Tags are the keywords within angle brackets that a web page uses to define how your web browser will format and display content. And usually these come in pairs, so we'll need an opening HTML tag and a closing HTML tag. All of our HTML code will be within these HTML tags. So the HTML element represents the root of an HTML document, and there's two major sections, head and body. So let's create a pair of head tags. Head represents information about a web page, and there is also body as well. So create a pair of body tags. The body is what you would like to display to a user. The head is information about the web page. One thing that we can add to the head of our document is a title. So we'll need a pair of title tags. And let's create a title for our website. My first website, and then let's save. Let's open this document, so I'm going to right click, open with live server. So the title of this web page is My First Website, and you may have noticed that this web browser was opened with Edge, so you can actually change that to a different web browser, and here's how. Go to File, Preferences, Settings, underneath Extensions, head to Live Server Config, Custom Browser, and select a web browser of your choosing. So right click, open with live server, and we are now using a different web browser. So I'm just going to put my web browser and VS Code side by side. Now let's add some text to the body of our web page. Type whatever you want. I like pizza. Then I'm going to save. There we go. We added some text to the body of our HTML document, and we can also use a pair of header tags. So surround some text with H1. This is the largest header tag, and then make sure to close it afterwards. Okay, so then we have H2, which is smaller. We have H3, H4, H5, and the last one is H6. So if you need some sort of title for your web page, you can always place some text within a pair of H1 header tags. Before I discuss p tags, we should discuss what elements are. Elements embody the opening tag, any content within, and the closing tag. So for example, this is a opening title tag and a closing title tag. And all of these together, including any content within, is known as the title element. So that's the difference between tags and elements. Tags make up a portion of elements. And with that out of the way, we can move on to paragraph elements. Paragraph elements are made up of p tags. We need an opening p tag and a closing p tag. And we can type some text within these paragraph tags. This is some sample text. Browsers automatically add a blank line before and after any paragraph elements. Also, if you need some longer sample text, there's a shortcut. Type lorem, then tab, and that will create some sample text for you. And let's create another paragraph element. So we need an opening p tag and a closing p tag. I would like some more sample text. I will type lorem, then tab. And we now have two paragraph elements. If you need a paragraph of information to display with blank lines before and after, you can always surround some text within a pair of p tags. Now there's also a BR element, and these do not need closing tags, it's only an opening tag. Wherever you would like to add a line break, just add a BR element. So let's say I would like to space out these header tags. Well, I can add a line break between each of these. If you ever need a line break, just use a BR element. And like I said, there's no closing tag with these elements. There's also an HR element, and I do not mean human resources, I mean horizontal rule. If you ever need to divide your page section by section, you can always add a horizontal rule. Let's say that we have a title to this web page. I'll create an H1 header tag. This is my website. And then I'm just going to close this. What if I would like to divide this web page section by section? I can always add a horizontal rule by using an HR element. And there is no closing tag with this element. You just type HR within angle brackets, and this will divide a section of your web page and add a horizontal rule, which looks pretty nice. So that is the HR element. And the last thing we're going to discuss for this topic is comments. Comments will not be displayed within the body of your document. It's more or less a note for yourself or other developers. To create a comment, we need an angle bracket, exclamation point, then 2 dashes. And this will create the ending of your comment, which is an arrow pointing to the right. So anything between these two arrows will be a comment. I'll leave a comment for, I don't know, myself. This is the best website ever. So as you can see, this will not be displayed within my web page. It's basically used as a note for yourself or for other people looking over this HTML document. So yeah, those are comments. Well everybody, that is the basics of HTML. So yeah, if you liked this video, please give this video a thumbs up, leave a random comment down below, and subscribe if you'd like to become a fellow bro. Hey, what's going on everybody? It's your bro, hope you're doing well, and in this video I'm going to show you how we can have some fun with hyperlinks in HTML. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. If you find this video helpful, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support will help keep this channel running. Sup, people? So, hyperlinks. We can apply a hyperlink to text, buttons, images, elements of that nature. Whatever you would like to turn into a hyperlink, surround with a pair of A tags. There's an opening A tag and a closing A tag. And within the opening A tag, there is an href attribute that you can set to a URL of your choosing. So if I want this hyperlink to take me to Google, then I will fill out the URL for Google. So after saving, if I click on this link, it takes me to Google. Easy enough, right? Now there is a target attribute. You can open a web page in a new tab or window by setting this to _blank. So this should open in a new tab or window, but the default is self. So that this will open in the same window. There is a title. A title is a small pop-up box that will appear when you hover your cursor over this link. We could write a message like, "This takes you to Google." And that box should appear after you hover your cursor over this hyperlink. "This takes you to Google." Let's say you have another web page and you would like this link to take you to your second page. Let's change the text. Go to page 2. I'm going to create another HTML file real quick. I'll go to new file. Let's call this page2.html. If you need to generate the necessary body of an HTML document, if you're using VS Code, you can type exclamation point and then tab. And let's write a message. "This is page 2. If I set the href attribute equal to the relative file path of whatever page I would like to go to, then this hyperlink will take me there. So these files are right next to each other. I only have to list the file name. So I would like this hyperlink to take me to page2.html. So if I click on this hyperlink, it will take me to my other HTML file. This is useful if you have a navigation bar. So depending on the link that somebody clicks on your navigation bar, that can take you to a different page. And lastly, you can send an email to somebody within the href attribute, type mail to : then some email address, let's say fake123@gmail.com. Let's say email me instead. And then when you click on this link, it will begin the process of sending an email. But we won't actually complete it. So yeah, everybody, those are hyperlinks. You can apply hyperlinks to text, buttons, images, which we'll have some practice with in the future. So yeah, those are hyperlinks in HTML. Alright people, here's how to add an image to a web page. Find or download an image of your choosing. I just so happen to have a picture of Shrek. Within your folder containing your index.html file, you're going to move or paste that image within the same folder. And within the body element, we're going to create a new element, an image element. Within angle brackets, type img for image. This is a self-closing tag. And many elements have different attributes that we can change. We need to change the source attribute of this image element. The source attribute is src, and we will set this equal to, within double quotes, the name of our image. Mine is shrek.png, and then save. What I like to do, if I'm working with a web page that has a lot of images, I like to create a separate folder for my images. This isn't necessary, but if your image is located within a separate folder, we need to find the file path relative to your index.html file. So I'm going to create a new folder, and let's name this images. It will contain all the images for my web page. Then I will move my image to my images folder. So we can no longer locate this image. We need to find the file path relative to the index.html file. To look within my images folder, I will precede the image name with / the name of the folder, images, / the name of the image. And there it is. Personally, if I'm working with a lot of images, I like to place all of my images within one folder. If you decide to do that as well, you just need to precede the file name with the name of the folder that it's in. Here's my image, but it's fairly massive. We can change the width and height attributes if we need to. I will change the height attribute. Height equals maybe 200. And that's a lot smaller. Maybe 300. That's a little bit better. The height and the width will scale proportionally with each other, but you can change them individually. Let's change the width. Width equals, let's say 100. What we get is an extra skinny Shrek, and if I change this to maybe 600, well, Shrek is extra thick now. So I will just only change the height attribute so that the width attribute scales proportionately. Now, if somebody is visually impaired, they may be using a screen reader to navigate a web page. It would be good practice to add some alternative text that is read out loud by a screen reader. So that is the alt attribute. Within double quotes, I'll type a brief description of this image. This is a picture of Shrek. So when you add an image, it's considered good practice to add some alternative text. You can also add a title too. A title will be a small pop-up box that appears when you hover your cursor over an image. To add a title, set the title attribute equal to some text. Shrek is Shreksy. And then I'm going to save, hover my cursor over the image, and we can see a small pop-up box that has my title, Shrek is Shreksy. We can also turn an image into a hyperlink. To turn this image into a hyperlink, we need to surround our image element with an opening and closing A tag. So open and close. Within the opening A tag, there is an href attribute that we can set to a URL of our choosing. I think I'll set this hyperlink to the Wikipedia page for Shrek. So just type in the URL between these double quotes. Save. Then if I were to click on my image, this will take me to the Wikipedia page for Shrek, or some other URL depending on what you type here. So yeah, that's how to add an image to a web page. Within the body element, you need to add an image element, and then set the source equal to the image name. If you found this video helpful, please remember to smash that like button, leave a random comment down below, and subscribe if you'd like to become a fellow bro. If you do need an MP3 file to work with for this video, I recommend heading to the YouTube audio library, and then you can search and download a song of your choosing. So after you find an MP3 file, you can use a WAV file too. Just drag and drop it to your folder containing your index.html file, and then we can head to VS Code. Now to add audio to our web page, we need an audio element. So within angle brackets audio, and list the source equal to the name of your MP3 or WAV file. We're going to need some controls. So this is a Boolean attribute. We don't need to set this equal to anything. It's either true or false. And to set it equal to true, you just type the name of the attribute. So within the audio element, type controls. And up top here, we have our controls for our MP3 file. With these controls, we can play some audio file of our choosing. We can fast forward. And we can mute. Here's a couple other Boolean attributes. We can have our audio autoplay by using the autoplay Boolean attribute. If you would like this to be muted originally, type muted. So this is playing, but you can't hear it because it's muted. If you need this to loop, just type loop. Yep. And it's looping. You can have backup audio files just in case your web browser doesn't support a given format. So if you would like some backup audio files, we're going to change this around a little bit. So let's get rid of our source and we'll create an audio closing tag. And we will create multiple nested source elements. Type source equals the name of one audio file you would like to use primarily. If you have a backup, let's say we have the same song as a WAV file, you can do that too. If for some reason the browser you're using doesn't support these first two audio files, you can always display a message. This browser does not support HTML5 audio. So yeah, everybody, that's how to add audio to a web page. You just have to use this audio element and set the source equal to an audio file of your choosing. And there's a bunch of Boolean attributes that you can add too if you would like some controls, if you need to set this to autoplay, if you need it muted, and if you need it to loop. So yeah, that's how to add audio to a web page. If you found this video helpful, please be sure to smash that like button, leave a random comment down below, and subscribe if you'd like to become a fellow bro. Alright, welcome back everybody. In this video, I'm going to show you all how we can add a video to a web page. You'll need a video of one of these file types. When I was in Tokyo some number of years ago, I saw real-life Mario Kart racing down the street. So what I'm going to do is place this MP4 file next to my index.html file, and then within VS Code, we need a video element. And we will list the src attribute equal to the name of our file that we're working with. And in my case, it's racing.mp4. Now this video is massive, so let's change the width of this using the width attribute. Width equals, what about 500. That's a lot better. But we'll need some controls to actually play this video. I'm clicking on this and nothing's happening. Controls is a Boolean attribute. We only have to list the attribute name to add controls. There we go, we now have some controls. Now, if you want this to play maybe in the background and you do not want controls, you can always set this to autoplay. But we have no way to stop this. So I'm going to add the controls back. If you need this muted, just add the muted Boolean attribute. So it's playing, but we can't hear anything. And if you need this to loop, just add the loop Boolean attribute, and this should loop. Yeah, there it is. Here's another thing that we can try. Let's get rid of our source attribute, and we're going to create a video closing tag. And we will create nested sources within our video element. Source src equals our video file. So just in case your browser doesn't support an MP4 video file, you can always create another source. Let's say that we have a WebM file as a backup, just in case that this browser doesn't support an MP4 file. And if for some reason no other sources work, you can always add a note. This browser does not support HTML5 audio. So you can write it either way, but if you have multiple sources, you can always have backups just in case this primary source doesn't work. So yeah, everybody, that's how to add a video to a web page. If you found this video helpful, please be sure to smash that like button, leave a random comment down below, and subscribe if you'd like to become a fellow bro. Alright, welcome back everybody. So in this video, I'm going to show you all a few useful text formatting tags that you may be interested in. We'll need some sample text to work with. This is normal text. We'll create additional lines of text, so I'm going to surround this text with a pair of paragraph tags, just so that when we add additional text, they will be added to a new line. Let's copy this line and paste it 9 additional times, let's say. There we go. First set of text formatting tags that I'll show you is bold. Any text that you need to bold, just surround that text with a pair of B tags. We need an opening B tag and a closing B tag. This is normal text. And you can see that the word normal is bold. Let's change that to bold, just so that it's more descriptive of what it does. Okay, so any text you need bold, just surround with a pair of B tags. The next set of tags is italic. Surround any text that you need italic with a pair of I tags. This is italic text. We have big. This is big text. We have small. This is small text. Sub for subscript. This is subscript text. Superscript. The tag name is sup, like you're saying sup to somebody. This is superscript text. We have inserted. Inserted is just underlined. INS for inserted. This is inserted text. There's deleted. Deleted will create a line through some text. This is deleted text. And there's one more, it looks like. I miscounted. There's also marked. So we use a pair of mark tags. Any text that is marked is highlighted. So yeah, those are a few text formatting tags that I thought you should know. If you found this video helpful, please be sure to smash that like button, leave a random comment down below, and subscribe if you'd like to become a fellow bro. Hey, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to show you all how we can create lists in HTML. There's 3 lists we're going to talk about: unordered, ordered, and description lists. Let's begin with unordered lists. To create an unordered list, we need a pair of UL tags for an unordered list. And between these UL tags, we can create individual list items. And we use a pair of LI tags for each item we would like to add to our list. So what's an example of an unordered list? One thing that comes to mind is a shopping list, like a grocery list. Because, well, I'm kind of hungry right now, it's breakfast time. Let's say that we're going to bake a pizza and we need a list of ingredients. We need pizza dough, so add an item between this pair of LI tags, and we now have one bulleted item within our unordered list. And let's create another item, so we can just copy and paste this pair of LI tags and create a new list item. What about tomato sauce? And then maybe cheese and toppings. Point being, to create an unordered list, you need a pair of UL tags, and with each list item you would like to add to your unordered list, you just place within a pair of LI tags for list item. An ordered list is very similar, except we use OL tags. So we need an opening OL tag and a closing OL tag. So by default, each list item is going to be numbered. So let's say that we have a to-do list. To add a list item, we need to use a pair of LI tags. Perhaps this is a schedule of what we have to do in the morning. We have to eat breakfast. That could be one list item. So to add another item, we need another pair of LI tags. Then maybe we need to take a shower. So each of these is numbered and they're in ascending order. And then we want to, what about leave for work? Okay, so yeah, that is an ordered list. The order of the list items does matter. And we can change the type too. Within the opening OL tag, there is a type attribute. We can set each list item to a number, a letter, or Roman numerals. If I would instead like letters, I can just set the type equal to A. And our list items are now marked with the letter. And we have description lists. We need a pair of DL tags for description lists. And instead of using an LI tag for each list item, we use a pair of DT tags for description term and DD tags for description definition. So for a term that is DT, and then we add a definition to this term. Let's say we have a list of web dev languages. For a term, we need an opening DT tag and a closing DT tag. And then we can add a definition to this term. So that would be DD, description definition. Between the opening and closing DD tags, we can add a definition to this term. Let's say that this adds structure to a web page. And then to create another term and definition pair, we can just copy this. Let's add CSS. This adds style to a web page, then JavaScript. This adds functionality to a web page. With description lists, each list item is a pair of terms and definitions. The last thing I'm going to show you, you can create a nested list within a list. So let's say I would like to add a sublist of individual toppings to our unordered list. Within the list item, we just create a new list. Let's say that I would like another unordered list. So I need a pair of UL tags. And what are some toppings we can place on our pizza? So we need a list item. What about pepperoni? So we have a sublist going if you take a look on the webpage right now. Then maybe, what about mushrooms next? I like mushrooms. And peppers, I guess. All right, people, those are how to create lists. There's 3 types: unordered, ordered, and description lists. Just use a pair of appropriate tags depending on the list you want to use. So yeah, everybody, that's how to create different lists in HTML. If you found this video helpful, please remember to smash that like button, leave a random comment down below, and subscribe if you'd like to become a fellow bro. Hey, it's your bro, hope you're doing well, and in this video I'm going to show you all how we can create a table using HTML, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hey everyone, I'm going to show you all how we can create a table using HTML. Let's say that we have a store, not an online store, but a brick and mortar store, and our job is to create a table of the hours of operation for our store, which we can best represent with a table on our website. So to create a table, we'll use a pair of table tags. There's an opening table tag and a closing table tag. To add a row to our table, we can use a pair of TR tags for table row. And let's say that we'll have 2 rows, one for the days of the week and the other for the hours of operation. So within this first row, let's add some headers using TH tags for table header. And I'll list the days of the week. So we have Sunday through Saturday. So to add another header, just use another pair of TH tags. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, you get the rest. Table headers are inherently bold. If we would like to add some data to the second row, we'll add that between the TR tags for the second row. So we would like some data, which is TD. We need an opening TD tag and a closing TD tag for each cell. Let's pretend that our store is open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and closed on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday. This first cell is for the first day, Sunday, the first column. So we are closed this day. Let's copy our table data element and copy it. This will be for the second row, Monday, and we are open 9 to 5. And let's fill this in for the days Monday through Friday. And then Saturday, we are closed. All right, let's color in these cells. I'll make the first row a dark gray color. So to change the color of the first row within the opening TR tag for the first row, there is a BG color attribute, which means background color. And I will set this equal to gray. And our second row, let's make this light gray. So within the opening TR tag for the second row, let's set the BG color attribute equal to a different color like light gray. Pick whatever color you want, it doesn't necessarily have to be gray. So within the opening table tag, I will set the BG color equal to, what about black? Cool. These cells are left aligned, we can center them. To center the cells within a row within the opening TR tag, there is an align attribute. And let's set this equal to center. And the text is now centered. And lastly, let's make all of these cells the same size. This Wednesday cell is taking up a lot of space. Let's set the width equal to maybe 100 pixels. And I will just copy this. And with the opening table element, I will set this equal to the width of each cell times the number of cells that we have. So if each cell has a width of 100, and there's 7 cells, I will set the width equal to 700. And, well, there we go. All of these cells are now aligned. So, yeah, that's how to create a table in HTML. Just use a pair of table tags. For each row, add a pair of TR tags. If you need a row to function as a header, such as the days of the week, use TH tags. If you're filling in data for a cell, use TD tags for table data. So yeah, that's how to create a table in HTML. If you found this video helpful, please be sure to smash that like button, leave a random comment down below, and subscribe if you'd like to become a fellow bro. Hey, what's going on everybody? In this video, I'm gonna show you how we can add color to a web page. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Alright, now here's how we can add color to a web page. We'll be talking a little bit about CSS, but we'll cover this more in depth in the CSS series. I thought this would be a good place for us to introduce colors because we'll be able to color things like buttons and forms and whatnot. Here's how to add some color to a web page. Within the opening tag of an element of your choosing, there is a style attribute, and within double quotes, we can add CSS properties. For my website, I would like to change the background color to black because I think it would look cool. So within double quotes, list the CSS property you would like to change. Background color. After the colon, you can either add a color name, RGB values, or hexadecimal values. Let's just say the color black. There we go, we can no longer see my website. Let's change the font color of these individual H1 header tags. Again, it's the same process as before. Style equals, within double quotes, list the CSS property you would like to add. I would like to add color this time to change the font color, and I will pick red. There we go. This time, let's use RGB values. So again, style attribute equals the CSS property you would like to change. To instead use an RGB value, type RGB parentheses. Then I would recommend looking up a color picker, and you can pick a color of whatever you would like. What about blue? Perhaps that shade of blue. So RGB values are in a group of 3, a triad. So I will copy these 3 numbers and paste them within the parentheses of RGB. And the second H1 header tag is now that specific shade of blue. I tend to prefer to use RGB values or hexadecimal values over color names because you have more variety. Now let's use hexadecimal values. Style equals the CSS property of color. So hexadecimal values always start with a hashtag. What about green? So we'll have red, blue, and green. And I will copy this number. They are in groups of 6. And well, yeah, it's green now. Cool, right? Okay, now let's change both the font color and the background color of this paragraph. Within the opening tag of this paragraph element, we will set the style attribute equal to any CSS properties within double quotes. Let's change the background color first. Background dash color colon space. I'll set this to dark gray, which is 222222. Then to add multiple CSS properties, separate each with a semicolon. And this time I will change just the color. And I'll use the same shade of green. Alright, well, there we go. So, yeah everybody, that's how to add some colors to your web page. There's more advanced things we can do when we reach the video series on CSS. But what you can do for now, within the opening tag of an element of your choosing, set the style attribute equal to whatever CSS properties you would like to add within quotes. So yeah, that's how to add color to a web page. If you found this video helpful, please be sure to smash that like button, leave a random comment down below, and subscribe if you'd like to become a fellow bro. Hey, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to explain the span and div tags. Let's begin with span. Span adds markup to text or portion of a document. Anything that I surround with a pair of span tags, I can apply markup or some effect to. So in my example document, I have a header and 3 paragraphs. What if I would like this specific sentence to be, I don't know, red? Well, what I could do is surround this sentence in my document with a pair of span tags. So I need an opening span tag and a closing span tag. And that sentence ends right here. And within this span tag, I can change some of the attributes of this sentence. So I would like to change maybe the style. I'll set the style color equal to red. Now you probably do want this closing tag. If you do not have this closing tag, your span will take up this entire section. So basically that's what span is. It adds markup to text or a portion of a document. Div is very similar, except it divides a division of a document. So what if I would like to change the background color of these 3 paragraphs? Well, what we learned in the last video on colors is that we could set the style background color equal to some shade of gray, maybe this value. This does work, and I could just copy this and paste it for each of these paragraphs. Or another way of doing this is that I can surround these 3 paragraphs with a pair of div tags. So we need an opening div tag and a closing div tag. And then I will apply this style attribute to the opening div tag, and it will apply this attribute to anything between these div tags. So yeah, that's basically what the span and div tags do. Span adds markup to text or portion of a document. Div defines a division of a document. So yeah, that's span and div in HTML. Yeah, let's begin. So, meta tags. The meta element represents various kinds of metadata that cannot be expressed using the title, base, link, style, and script elements. Metadata is data about data. We can add metadata to the head of our document, and this tells the web browser what our web page is about. With the meta tags, we place them within the head, not the body. So we can tell the web browser some information about our web page. Meta tags are self-closing. We do not need a closing tag. Meta tags do have a name attribute that we can set to one of many settings. Let's say we would like to add a description to this web page, and the web browser is going to read this description. After setting the name equal to description, I can set the content equal to a brief description of my web page. Perhaps free HTML tutorial for beginners. Okay, so that's one example of a meta tag. So let's create another. So meta. Again, these are self-closing tags, and I can add some keywords for search engine optimization. So name, keywords, content, and I'll explain my web page in just a few keywords. Perhaps HTML, separate each of these with a comma, tutorial, beginners. That'd be good. We can add a author, meta name equals author, content equals and then type your name. So if somebody is viewing your web page on a mobile device, you can have your web page scale to their mobile device by adding this meta tag. Name equals viewport content equals, and this will set the width of our web page equal to device dash width. Then comma, we can set the initial scale equal to 1.0. So by adding this meta tag, if you were to view this web page on a mobile device, this web page will scale proportionately with that mobile device. Another meta tag is a char set. We can tell a web browser what sort of character encoding that we're using. So authors are encouraged to use UTF-8 for Unicode. So if you want to use basic ASCII encoding, you would write ASCII here, although that's discouraged. Authors are encouraged to use UTF-8 for Unicode. Alright, and the last thing I'm going to show you is that we can set our web page to automatically refresh after a given amount of seconds. So meta http-equiv is the attribute name, equals refresh. And the content equals how many seconds you would like to wait to have your browser refresh. Perhaps 30. Okay, so I'm going to open this with live server. So if I set this to 30 seconds, it's not going to be that visible. You're gonna have to wait until we see this refresh. Let's set this to something more drastic like 2 seconds. Let's crank this up. Yep, see, it's refreshing every 2 seconds. But let's set that back to 30. 2 seconds was just an example. So yeah, those are meta tags. They represent metadata. Metadata is data about data. By adding meta tags, we can tell a web browser information about our website, such as a brief description, keywords, author. We can set the viewport for mobile devices. You can set a refresh rate, stuff like that. And then be sure to add meta tags to the head element of your document. So yeah, those are meta tags. If you found this video helpful, please remember to smash that like button, leave a random comment down below, and subscribe if you'd like to become a fellow bro. Hey, what's going on everybody? It's your bro, hope you're doing well, and in this video I'm going to explain how we can use iframes to embed web pages and other documents within your website. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hey, welcome back. Iframes. The iframe element is used to embed content from another source into an HTML document. They're commonly used for advertisements, and they're easily abused with many hacking techniques. So basically, using an iframe, we can embed another web page within our web page, or we could embed our current HTML document with another HTML document. Here's how we can create an iframe. This is a self-closing tag, and we set the source equal to, this can be an external website, such as a URL, or we can place a relative file path to a file of our choosing. So this doesn't work with many websites, and I'll demonstrate that. So let's set the source equal to google.com and then save and reload. So google.com refused to connect. That's because a lot of major websites have disabled the use of iframes. Since we're embedding another web page within our web page, a common hacking technique is that you can have this embedded web page take up the entire frame of your HTML document. Your website could pose as another website, and that could be considered dangerous. Let's say that you embed a banking website like Bank of America. So if somebody visits your website, it's actually a facade, and somebody will type in their banking information like their login credentials, and you could capture that. So a lot of major websites have disabled the use of iframes, so you cannot pose as their website. One website that I checked that does work is Bing. So let's switch our URL to that. Save and reload. Yeah, see, we have embedded the homepage of Bing. But let's change the width and height attributes because this is fairly small. Let's say the width is 750 pixels, and for the height, let's say maybe 250. So save and reload. Cool, yeah, we have embedded Bing within our web page, and you can use this normally. Bro code. Now let's embed another document, so let's create a new file. Let's pretend that this is an advertisement we would like to display within our web page. I'll name this ad.html. So if you're using VS Code to generate an HTML document, a plain one, type !, then hit tab. So let's say something I'll use an h1 header tag. This is an advertisement. And then close it. Let's change the background color too, using the style attribute. And I will pick the background color property and set this to maybe, I don't know, that color. Then let's change the width and height. For the height, maybe 100. Oh, then make sure to change your source as well. So we need to list the relative file path. Since these files are right next to each other, I only have to list the file name. Add.html. Save, reload. Cool, and there is my fake advertisement. Embedded pages do have a border. This is how to remove that. Set the style attribute equal to the border CSS property and set this to 0. So I'm going to save, reload, and this no longer has that border. So yeah, everybody, those are iframes. They're used to embed content from another source into an HTML document. They're useful for advertisements, and they're easily abused with a lot of hacking techniques. So yeah, those are iframes. If you learned something new, be sure to smash that like button, drop a random comment down below, and subscribe if you'd like to become a fellow bro. What's going on, everybody? It's your bro, hope you're doing well, and in this video I'm going to show you how you can create a button using HTML, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hey, in this video I'm going to show you how we can create buttons using HTML. We'll need a pair of button tags. There's an opening button tag and a closing button tag. Here's our button. To add some text between the button tags, we can add whatever text we want to the button, like click me. You can set this up as a hyperlink when you click on the button. To do so, just surround your button element with a pair of A tags. There's an opening A tag and a closing A tag. And I will set the href attribute of the opening button tag to a URL or relative file path of my choosing. To make this simple, let's set the URL to google.com. And then when I click on this button, it takes me to Google. You can disable a button by adding a disabled Boolean attribute to the opening button tag, and we can no longer click on this button. If you know a little bit of CSS, you can add some CSS properties directly to a button by setting the style attribute equal to and list some CSS properties of your choosing. Let's change the background color. You can pick a color name. You can use RGB values, or you can use hexadecimal values. I think I'll set this to a dark gray color, so maybe 6 threes. For RGB values and hexadecimal values, you can always use a color picker online. So if you would like to add multiple CSS properties, separate each CSS property with a semicolon. And next I will change the color, that's the font color. And maybe I'll pick green. One color I like is 00FF00. That's just a bright green color. You can also round these borders too by using the border radius property. So again, separate each CSS property with a semicolon, and I will set the border radius property to 5 pixels, just around the corners. Okay, cool. That's a pretty fancy looking button if I do say so myself, and yep, it still takes us to Google. Just by us using HTML, this adds structure to a web page, but it doesn't necessarily add functionality. That's where a language like JavaScript comes in. When we click on a button, we can have this button execute some function from a JavaScript file. I'll show you how we can create a very simple JavaScript program, but of course we'll cover this more in the JavaScript series. So let's get rid of this hyperlink and have our button do something else. There is an onClick attribute that we can set to a JavaScript function. So we just place the name of the function between a set of double quotes. We haven't created a JavaScript function yet, but let's say that we'll have a JavaScript function named doSomething, and then follow that name with a set of parentheses. And let's create a paragraph element. And we will say hello, and then close it. With this paragraph element, I'm going to set the ID attribute equal to, let's say, test. Here's how we can code a very simple JavaScript program. You're going to create a pair of script tags. There's an opening script tag and a closing script tag. And within the script, I will say function do something, parentheses, curly braces. So this function will perform some subsection of code. So when we click on our button, what do we want this program to do? We will take document.getElement by ID, parentheses, list the ID of our paragraph element, test, dot, inner HTML, and I will set this equal to goodbye, then add a semicolon at the end. Okay, so when we click on this button, it's going to execute this function, do something, and then perform whatever code is between this set of curly braces. So you may need to save, refresh your web page, and if done correctly, when you click on this button, it will change this text from hello to goodbye. So that is a very small JavaScript program. So there is an onClick attribute that you can set equal to a JavaScript function. But of course, we'll cover more about JavaScript, well, in the JavaScript playlist. But that's one way in which you can add functionality to a button. In this video, we were more focused on actually creating the button itself. So yeah, if this video helped you out, you can help me out by smashing that like button, leave a random comment down below, and subscribe if you'd like to become a fellow bro. Hey everyone, I'm going to try and explain everything I can about forms in about 8 minutes. To create a form element, we'll need a pair of form tags. There's an opening form tag and a closing form tag. And depending on the user input that you need, there is an input element. And you can set the type attribute to whatever you need. Let's say we need some text from a user like a first name. Within our form, there is a text box where we can enter in some user information. So we should probably let the user know what we want them to type in. I will precede this input element with a label. Let's say first name, and a user can type in their first name. Now it is considered good practice to fill out a for attribute within the label and set this to whatever you want. Let's say fname. And within the associated input element, I will set the ID also equal to fname, whatever's within the for attribute. This does a couple things. One, if I was to click on this label, this will select my input box. It's also helpful for people that are using screen readers so that they can easily navigate your form. There is also a name attribute. When we submit this data, what sort of name do we want to give that data? Think of it like a variable. I will also name this fname as well. Within the input element, there is a placeholder to display some default text to a user by setting the placeholder attribute equal to some text, like SpongeBob. So if I was to click within this input field and type something, that will get rid of my placeholder. Let's create an input field for a last name, and really we can just copy this and make a few changes to it. So copy both the label and the input element. Let's change this from first name to last name. Change for as well to lname. ID will be lname, and let's make name lname as well. And the placeholder, how about square pants? These labels and input elements will appear on the same line. To separate them and treat them as block level elements, I will add each of these pairs to their own div element. Perhaps I'll add a line break as well. Okay, now with forms, there are built-in buttons too. We will set the input type equal to reset. So if I were to type in some text and click reset, that will reset whatever's within my form. And there is a submit button as well. I will set the type equal to submit. So currently our data doesn't have any place to go to. So if I were to click the submit button, this data is not going to go anywhere. So if I need to send this data to a page, I will list that page within the action attribute of my opening form element. So we'll need the help of a dynamic programming language, PHP for example. We're not going to focus on functionality in this video, but rather the structure of a form. So if I need to send this to a PHP page, I will list that PHP page within the action attribute. There is also an associated method attribute. Two common values are get and post. Get is considered insecure. It's going to append your data to the URL of your web page. So for example, if I set the method to get and type in some information and click submit, it's going to append my data to the end of my URL. So it's going to add a question mark, then all of my data. If you need to submit some secure information like a password, do not use get. I would say that this is useful for things like search boxes, if a user needs to navigate your web page for maybe some sort of keyword. So it's better to use post to submit some secure information. But this isn't going to do anything, obviously, because we do not have a server set up. Now, there is a required Boolean attribute you can add. If somebody needs to submit some information, they are required to fill out any input elements that have this Boolean attribute of required. So if I just attempt to submit this without typing in anything, there is a small pop-up box that says, please fill out this field. Alright, I'm going to go kind of quick through these next input elements just because I think we have the hang of the general context of input elements. So next we have password fields. You set the type equal to password. So if somebody types in some characters, they will be hidden. If you need to set a max size of your password, there is a max length attribute. Let's set this to maybe 12, so we can type in no more than 12 characters for a password. And you can also add that required Boolean attribute too. For an email element, set the type equal to email. In order to submit an email, we need an @ character within our email. Otherwise, we cannot submit this information. And perhaps I'll add a placeholder as well. Placeholder equals spants@gmail.com. So there is our placeholder. For a telephone number, you're going to set the type equal to tel. And I do have a placeholder as well. If you need the user to type in a date, like a birth date, there is a type date, which includes an interactive calendar to select a date. A user can type in a number if you set the type equal to number. Let's say that the user is buying something from a store. There are some arrows where they can increase or decrease the quantity, but we should probably place some limits. They can type in basically whatever number they want. They want -1 billion items. So we can set the min and the max. I'll set the min equal to 0 and the max equal to, what about 99? And you can also set a default value too. I'll set the default value equal to 1. Next, we have radio buttons. With radio buttons, we can only select one radio button from any one group. Perhaps we'll have the user select a title. Are they a Mr., a Miss, or a Doctor? So I'm going to create a pair of labels and input for each option that we have. So we will have a Mr. option, Miss, and PhD. Okay, I will set the input type equal to radio, and then do that with each of these pairs. So we can select more than one because these are all not within the same group. To set them all within the same group, we will all have them have the same matching name. Let's say that the name will be title. So therefore, we can only select one now since they're all within the same group. And that's kind of the idea behind radio buttons. You can only select one. And we will set an associated value of, let's say, Mr. for the first value, Mrs. for the second, and Doctor for the last one. Then I'm just going to precede all of these with a separate label. Let's say title. And I will set the for attribute equal to title. And within each of these radio button labels, when I click on one of these labels, I also want to be able to select one of these radio buttons. So I will set the for attribute equal to a unique ID. So let's say Mr. The ID will be Mr. And repeat the same steps. Okay, so when we click on these labels, we should be able to select our radio buttons. Nice. With drop-down menus, instead of a type, we are going to use a pair of select tags. So there's an opening select tag and a closing select tag, and we list individual options within the select element. We'll give our user 3 options from this drop-down menu. They can pay with a Visa, a MasterCard, or a gift card. And I will give each of these a value. Okay, we now have a payment field, and the user can select an option from this drop-down menu. And the last input type I will explain in this video is the checkbox type. So let's say we have a subscribe button, and you can go ahead and smash that subscribe button. So just set the type equal to checkbox for, well, a checkbox. Well, yeah, everybody, that's how to create an HTML form. There's still some more advanced input types we did not cover, but these are the very basics, I would say. If you found this video helpful, please remember to smash that like button, leave a random comment down below, and subscribe if you'd like to become a fellow bro.